And I guess I read that and thought, well, maybe we need to talk about why would it be an advantage to remove it? Why do we want to meddle with it? Is it causing a problem? Is it a problem? So that's, or is it just an academic argument?
Can I go back to, with respect to that, if an elected official shall have served 6 months of the term, going back to our misfeasance, malfeasance, and nonfeasance, not just because I like those words, but wouldn't that cover?
You pronounce them very well.
Thank you. Wouldn't that cover, you know, if someone was elected to office and, you know, 8 weeks later, or 10 weeks, or 12 weeks later, they committed some type of.
Yeah.
Isn't it a question of who's initiating the action, though?
This way, the people are
The one
voting.
is council. This
Right,
other
you're
one
right.
is the
The recall is
electorate.
electorate doing it.
Well, you know, here is a question. If you have somebody that's just been elected to office, and maybe they ran against two other people, and those two people are kicked, you know, should they at least allow the person to serve 6 months before they would start bringing accusations and trying to get them out of there? Or should they be able to turn right around and get a petition out and try to create mischief to get them back out of there?
I think the whole idea was to give someone a time to goof up. I mean, if you're going to, I mean.
Well, you know, you come in and you have 1 or 2 meetings a month. Sometimes we had 1 meeting a month, now we're having 2 meetings a month, but even so, in 6 months, you've really been in 12 meetings probably. And if you do anything sooner than that, they barely know how to get through everything. They haven't even seen a whole cycle of 6 months of business, you know.
The only exception I would say to that, and I'm not aware of it happening recently, at least in Greenhills, is if for some reason the office holder committed a crime.
Well, then you'd go after them in a whole different way.
No, because the fact that someone is accused of a crime does not mean they're found guilty. They're innocent until
Right.
proven guilty in a court of law, and you have a technical problem and a due process problem of going under the council. Now, let me get done.
No, I didn't say anything. I'm just gonna
Doing
turn
it
my page.
through council to eliminate them. On the other hand, a recall is by the people, and you don't have to worry about due process. The due process is getting the signatures and putting it on the ballot. So you, you know, if it's done right, and depending on how the technicality of the accusations are, it may be quicker to get someone out of office with a referendum or with a recall than going through the other procedure with council making the accusations and having continuances and having courts come back and reverse it and say, hey, you didn't afford due process and all that. And that's what's going on anymore. This village won a case against a police officer who screwed up in Washington, D.C. when they were at the FBI Academy. Now, we won the case, but it cost us a lot of time and money to do that. And that strung out for a while. So, you know, these things happen. And while he was, this thing was still strung out, there was a question of what his status was he supposed to be paid, and all this good stuff. A recall solves that problem right now. It's a different vehicle. So I would think, you want to keep it in there.
This is only an elected official.
Yeah, but hey.
Police officer.
Even if it was that an elected official, in that situation, you couldn't disclose to the electorate all the details of what's going on because you would get sued for
You can disclose
violating their right to privacy until convicted.
Right,
And-
This is where I respectfully disagree.
Well,
and I'll
I
tell you-
sat through that because I was traffic and safety working with the police department, and we were blocked in because he had rights and he had legal representation free.
But you can disclose what's a matter of public record in the court.
It wasn't a matter of public record.
No, if it wasn't a matter of public record, you can't do anything. But say someone's charged with a crime, and the warrant is issued. and discovery is requested, that becomes a matter of public record.
Well, then the one right before that will take care of that. 8.03 has got it sewed up.
You say leave it the same,
I do too.
Yeah, I did too.
Well,
since the one didn't pass, I mean, went up for vote.
I'm thinking if there's a vacancy created by this, isn't mayor and council filling it anyway?
Yeah, they'll
So your-
appoint
your-
a,
Your suggestion that somebody losing by a vote would mount this
Yeah.
in the hopes.
I'm not
that-
worried about the 25%. I think it's a good, 25% is a good figure, particularly in Greenhills, because you don't need that many signatures anyway. But the question is whether we should keep it at 6 months or less. I don't think it should be 0 because, as Ms. Vidya said, that, hey, the person's got a right to
at least start.
at least start.
Very well.
But is 6 months too long in this day and age? I don't know.
No.
I don't know what somebody, if
Especially
they
if something
committed
they've never
a
done.
federal crime of some heinous sort, 2 weeks in, it seems to me they're gonna be pretty jammed up with their legal affairs, that they're not gonna be able to do too much
Seems like
on
they just
council.
resign if they got
Well,
it.
even if they didn't resign, I mean, if they're being held in the popo without bail, they're not gonna be here able to vote.
803C. While in office has been convicted of or entered a plea of guilty to a felony or a crime involving moral turpitude.
Yeah, but that's upon a conviction or plea.
But there's all these, does not possess or has ceased to possess the qualifications of offices provided herein.
That's kind of general.
Yeah, but it's still, there would be,
And how much damage could a council person do in 6 months, being one that?
One of, yeah.
that they would be locked up or under
Well, I-
severe.
I think I was raising the 6 months just out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
My
Would that
question
have a
here
nice
was,
ring?
you did, ask Jeff, why 6 months?
Mhm.
That was the question.
And I have why unclear.
On the other one, I realize the voters rejected reducing that down to 15%.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that because this is a small village. People here use common sense. A small village doesn't take that many people to get 25% signature. 25% in the city of Cincinnati would be a heck of a lot of signatures, but not in the city, not in the village of
So on
Greenhills.
the 25% question, are we all saying okay on that?
I think everyone agrees
Yeah,
with that.
yeah.
I'm thinking given it was recently voted on, we're just shooting
Yeah.
ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so the next question remains is on the 6 months.
That's
Is it
the
a
only
revisit
question
or
I would
okay?
have.
Okay.
And I'd say okay on the 6
I
months.
say that too, I'm getting tired of it.
There you go.
Are you tired of?
One
That's
more.
what Nick says.
That's as good a
He's
reason
tired of
as-
it.
Okay, Article 9, Section 9.03, Civil Service Board, competitive service. Wording, what does this refer to? This is a term of art specific to civil services laws, which do not apply in villages. It basically refers to those employees covered under civil service rules, sometimes referred to as classified versus unclassified service. For example, the position of municipal manager or city manager, as the case may be, is not covered by civil service rules and therefore is not part of the competitive service.
No problem.
No problem, right?
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that was another curiosity thing that we were talking about.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
we've narrowed down somewhat.
Yeah. Tricia, can you slowly, can you slowly?
Well, we
Go back
did do
to page-
10.03, transitional procedure. Are we okay with that?
Oh, the
I'm
last
okay
article,
with
yeah.
that.
You said I would just leave it as it is.
Leave it as it is.
Yeah.
And you could
It's on the list.
Yeah,
What was it?
10, the last
10.03.
one. Article 10, enumeration of provisions, section 1003.
Jeff said leave it as it is.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
If you'll go back to the beginning
Okay.
and slowly
Okay.
list off all the ones that we need to go back to.
That we need to go back to
Yeah,
based
just
only
so
on
that-
Jeff's.
So that everybody can look at their sheets and make
And
sure.
based only on Jeff's responses, not anything
Yeah.
that we wanted to revisit prior to.
Well, anytime if we said anything here we want to revisit it, we revisit
You wanna
it.
do all revisits or just Jeff's revisits?
I would say
All that's on here.
Everything?
Not, you know, we can go back to the charter if you want to too and do that. I
Just
don't-
this, just.
You want me to just
Just
cover
this
what
for
we're
now.
talking about
Tonight,
with Jeff
yeah.
tonight?
You're
Okay.
giving her two different answers.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
We're both saying yes, yes.
And you're,
Just
yes to
fine.
this, and yes to this, and what?
What would you like to do?
I would like to make everyone happy.
What a goal.
Good luck on
Going to
that.
be
Or are you
running-
going to be December 25th?
Running for office in any now.
So I'm gonna go back through and I'm going to mark what we said we're gonna go revisit based on Jeff's replies for
Yeah.
right now.
Hold on, just,
Yeah. Yes?
well, I don't know.
Can I have a
Okay.
yes, no?
Got an extra pen.
Okay,
Yes, I'm just going over Jeff's stuff. Just going over Jeff's stuff.
sure.
Okay.
What do you want me to do, Dad?
Go
Take a
go
vote?
over, let's go over Jeff's stuff, and then if there's
Okay.
anything extra that should, because some of that stuff you
Or
put
if
down
we're
and we
not
didn't.
out of time for the night.
The
Yeah.
revisits, just check us up on what we are revisiting.
For Jeff.
For Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what
So
I.
we are, and I'll tell you what, I can, if you wanna just, I can say what we said we're okay and what we said we were gonna revisit. But I have revisiting section 1.02 powers.
Mhm.
I have revisiting, well, it's marked as section 2.01, and that refers to specifically the partisan elections. We all said okay, but then we put revisit, so I have
Yeah.
that as a revisit.
Mhm.
It wasn't a clear consensus.
I
on
have
that.
study further.
Study further,
It was
yes.
voted on before.
Yes. Section 2.03, revisit. We seem to all think that 24 hours seems okay, but that was a revisit.
I have okay.
Yeah,
I don't
have
care.
okay.
We have
Well,
okay.
it would be we all agreed 24 hours is okay, but we have to come back into the article to change it. Like, we're not
Oh, 'cause it
leaving the
says
language
12,
as
it
is,
doesn't
we're
say
gonna
12.
come
Yeah,
back in
okay,
and
you're ri-
change it.
You're right, you're right.
So therefore,
good.
that's going back into
Okay.
change it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I only put okay if we don't even have to look at it again.
I'm glad you did that.
Okay, change.
Okay, change. I have section 2.05 powers of council, which in reference to the Greenbelt district, we will be revisiting. And that would be specifically section G.
Okay.
But in the same.
You said G?
G, but in 2.04, we all agreed that letter M was okay.
Mhm.
That was where council shall have the power to subpoena witnesses.
Yeah.
In section 2.06, I don't think I need to say, we're gonna be revisiting
Revisit.
that.
That's gonna become our least
That'll be our
favorite.
cross to bear. Specifically, I guess probably the whole thing, but then also B, where B and C, we talked about combining B and C, adding electronic media. Does that cover that for everybody?
We know we're coming back.
We know we're coming back to that one. That one is okay. Section 3.06 qualifications, we're going to revisit that. We discussed changing that to the shall reside in the municipality for 3 years. So that's a revisit because that would be a language change. I have section 4.03 under acting manager as a revisit. And that's in reference to the letter being on file for who's in charge and the manager's absence. Good? Okay.
Good, good.
That one was okay. That one was okay. That one was okay. Okay. All right, my next revisit is section 5.06 with respect to the budget. And that one is in regards to we don't get the figures in time to meet the date, first day of June, which again sends us back to 2.06 as part of our research on that one.
Would it be reasonable to ask Yvonne what dates she would like to see?
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that, and she said that,
August or September.
yeah, but not a date, but say,
Well, I'm thinking
yeah,
should
by
be a
August
specific
or by
date.
September, yeah, but we'll ask her again.
August.
The only thing we know is for certain is first day of June is
It's
never happens.
Yeah.
The next one I have is a revisit would be section 5.08 under contracts and purchasing.
Mhm.
Specifically D, we will be revisiting, and that's in regards to the caps for the bidding. Next, section 5.10 engineer. That would be a revisit because we discussed taking out the entire statement, the engineer shall review drawings as approved.
As opposed to a rewrite where we're just deleting the sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put it as, because we have to do something to it, so. Next,
Boards and commission.
yes, 6.02. Actually, that's 6.02, 6.03, and 6.04. We will revisit and research Dave Moore. I only write it, I don't require it.
Right.
Thank you for volunteering.
Yeah.
Next is 6.09, where we are revisiting due to a word change, where we're gonna, at the very last paragraph, we talked about,
Ohio.
we would put shall be meetings open to the public except as provided for in the Ohio Revised Code. So that's a revisit due to changing the language.
Good.
Next is 8.03, under removal from office. Very first sentence, the office of an elected official or member of a, we would like to change that to any, which makes that a revisit solely for the purpose of changing the word. Next is, you said okay on that.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
You
it.
said okay on that? That's it?
And you deleted? One,
I think you should do a half-hour dissertation on it.
five.
Misthesis, malthesis,
That's
and
it.
non-thesis.
Yeah. I'd have no idea.
You just did a non-thesis by not knowing the words.
And could you further
I
define
get it.
thesis for me?
Feces or?
Here we go.
I think our meeting's falling apart.
Okay, I counted.
Christine lost control again.
No, I was counting.
She was counting.
I have 14 things circled that we'll come back to.
And that is only 14 things from the responses from Jeff Forbes. That's not counting the yellow highlighted things we have to go
It
back to.
crossed over 2 or 3 of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think a lot of it was,
A lot of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's good.
You're doing good.
Now, we're having a public hearing Thursday night, 7 PM. And we're going to sit up on the council chamber level because I don't want people talking down to us. And you can sit anywhere up there that you want. I'm gonna sit in the center and I will open it and kind of give the ground rules. And our role will be to listen. We will not engage in any discussion.
Good.
There will be a time limit placed on people speaking, and we're asking that everybody leave whatever they've talked to us about in writing, so that we won't misquote or, you know, hopefully we won't misunderstand. You know, if we're all taking notes, I would suggest that you each bring your copy of your charter and a pad to take notes on.
On the remark of discussion, I'm assuming we can clarify, but you don't want to see us getting into an argument with
No.
somebody.
Yeah, and actually, there will be very little reason for us to clarify. We can ask them to clarify what they're saying, yes, definitely. And so, but our role in a public hearing is strictly to give them a chance to talk to us and tell us what's on their minds, and for us to try to record that as clearly as we can so that we can come away, you know, with their concerns and put that in our.
I suggest you contact Waycross and have them present also. This is an important meeting for the village. It deals with the charter. And they do have a contract with the city, the village here
Oh, I know they do, yeah.
and it wouldn't hurt to have them present for this, because it wouldn't have hurt to have them present for any of the zoning meetings either. They weren't, but they certainly should have.
I'll check that out then, we'll see. Yeah, I'll think about that, but I will check about it too.
Yeah.
And,
So, on the meeting on Thursday, just for scheduling purposes, we're going to start that meeting at 7, public input session, and following the end of any public comments, is that going to be are we going to adjourn following that?
it depends on how long it takes, you know, if it's an hour.
We could be here 5 minutes.
Yeah, if it's 15 minutes or an hour, you know.
Just trying to decide, you know, what television should, no, I'm kidding. I don't watch TV. I don't even
Right,
watch
if it's
TV.
15 minutes, we
have
can
a
meet
Grey's Anatomy.
for a few minutes.
Go ahead. No. Just wondering if I need to plan for,
Yeah,
you
I
know, an
think we
all-nighter
should-
or.
I think
Bring
we
bring
should-
your.
We haven't had a lot of
Slumber.
participation thus far, so it could be.
Well,
Short, or
I
it
mean,
could be-
it could be, and it could be to our advantage if we have a number of people speaking to us. But if they can't say what they have on their minds in 5 minutes, then I'm not sure that we're
I
very
think 5
interested.
minutes, it should be at least 5 minutes, because.
Well, maximum 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I
that's
just
fine.
didn't know if we were gonna then break out into a regular meeting for us.
Well, we possibly
following-
will. It just depends on how long it goes. I feel like our time is really valuable to us. This December, we're all, you know, under the crunch of time now. And so if we can, you know, get anything done after the public hearing, it would be important for us to
We'll
do
just
that.
adjourn to our table and get
Yeah.
this cracking again.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll just stay in the room over there and get down to the main table.
Are we gonna have any other meetings this month? I thought we were having another.
11.
On the 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're getting down there we're within, what, 8 weeks now of, no,
The deadline.
10 weeks to get our everything done. And once we get through it and even then, we're gonna need to, you know, review and let the wording percolate a little bit and review and make sure that we're satisfied that we're done. And so I don't wanna wait until January 15th to see if we're done. You know, I'd like to have us kind of think we're done towards the early part of January, and then be able to
I agree with that.
fine tune and clean it up and feel comfortable that when we present it back to council.
Yeah, let's face it, this is the
that
first
we
time
did a
this has
good
been
job.
done in 20 years, so we're doing a heck of a lot of work
We are.
on this.
And so anyway, I think probably the 11th is as far as I'm gonna push us to go in December.
Okay.
And how many of you are gonna be out of town from Christmas to New Year's?
Parts of it.
I'll be out some of those days.
Mhm. And so I think we will let it go then until that first week of January. But we'll see, we'll see how Thursday night goes and how next Tuesday goes.
And we haven't scheduled anything for January yet, have we?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, we might have to have more than one meeting in
We
January.
may,
might have
yeah,
several.
we may. be
Right,
cranky.
I just
Yeah.
We may
didn't know
be
that we
meeting
have.
every
I'll
night
be
for about
there.
a week.
Well, we-
We're in good shape. I really feel comfortable. I feel comfortable that most of our work is
Probably
finished.
when we're finalizing things, we should probably make an effort to make that a public hearing meeting as well for comments.
I think so.
Just, so whenever we get there
Yeah.
in January,
Well, technically, all these
I-
are public meetings.
well.
Yeah, I'm not sure we will do that. We'll see. Because it's work that we've been asked to do for council, and our report will go back to council.
As a procedural
And,
question, I
you
mean,
know.
when we send this back to council, council will look at it, they'll throw out whatever they want, keep whatever they want, but I mean, prior to them doing anything with it, the public would have an
Yes.
opportunity to go to council
Oh, yeah.
to
Yeah.
give input directly to them.
It's a public record. When
So
we-
regardless of what we
Yeah.
do or what we
Yes.
submit.
But it'll be up to council to set the time where they're gonna debate it in council.
Sure.
Okay.
And that they'll have to, if whatever they decide to put on the ballot or not put on the ballot, they'll still have to pass an ordinance or a resolution
To do
to
that.
do that.
So
which then
essentially, the
have-
public will
Oh,
see
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it'll be around
Again,
very
okay.
publicly for
Then I'm comfortable with us.
6 months. Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing we could consider is when we up with our final report of having Yvonne, what we submit to council, have it put on the internet or on the
Mhm.
village's webpage.
Mhm. Right. So,
I looked at the internet tonight and saw this meeting on Thursday on the calendar, but the commission thing where they list all the stuff, that calendar was in November. Hadn't made the move forward.
well, and that's,
So
as
there's
they're,
a few
yeah.
bugs to work out there.
As they're looking at, hiring a new police chief and everything, I noticed that the police department's website is 2011 is the latest. And so I have registered a suggestion that they bring that up to speed before they start wanting resumes to come in, because if they advertise, then people are gonna go right to the website and they're gonna go. So there's, they have had trouble keeping it up to date. And in part because of, they just don't have enough help. But this has to have plenty of site, and they could always go to YouTube, and watch everything. This has not been totally private by any means, and that's fine.
Okay.
So,
Moved adjourned.
second,
Okay.
thank you, everybody.